What's up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome, and for my returning viewers, I always appreciate you. On today's menu we have some Jamaican hard dough bread. Let's get started. So I'm just going to start off with some warm milk. Here I'm using almond milk. Feel free to use regular milk or water. I went in with some sugar, my yeast, and I'm going to mix and set this aside to proof and get nice and foamy. After 10 minutes, this is what my yeast is looking like. So I'm just going to continue on by grating in some nutmeg. I grate in about an eighth of a teaspoon of nutmeg. We don't want to add too much, just enough to bring out the flavor in the bread. And then we're going to go ahead and add our flour. Today's flour is bread flour, but if you have all-purpose flour, you could go ahead and use that. And I went in with some salt, and I'm just going to mix and combine to form a kind of a shaggy dough. It's at this point it's still wet, and now we're going to go in with some shortening. If you have margarine butter, you could go ahead and use that. Now I'm just going to go ahead and mix this in, then I'm going to go ahead and turn this out onto my work surface. Just make sure you have a nice clean area. I'll be using my pastry mat. So here I added my dough, went in with a little bit of flour just to get it moving around. At this point the dough is super tacky, and we want to knead until it's not tacky anymore. You don't want to add too much flour, just enough to keep it moving. And once you keep kneading for at least 10 minutes, then the dough will come together. At first it will seem sticky and it's not coming together, but never fear, keep working, the dough will form nicely. So you just want to knead until the dough is nice and smooth. And there you have it. This is about 10 minutes of kneading, and my dough has come together nicely. Now we're going to form this into a ball. Now we're going to grease a bowl and allow this to double in size for roughly about an hour to an hour and 30 minutes, it depending on your house. Right now it's cold, so it might take a little bit longer time to rise where I am, but you want to make sure that whatever time in it rise by, make sure it double in size. So if it takes you about an hour and a half, 2 hours, allow it to double in size. So I'm just going to cover with some parchment paper, and I put this in my oven and turn the oven light on. You don't want to turn the oven on, just the light. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and prepare my dish. So here I have a baking dish. So I'm going to go ahead and grease this with some butter. You want to grease this nicely. Of course, if you have your cooking spray and you want to use that, but the butter coats it well and the bread will slip out once it's fully baked. Now my dough has doubled in size. This was about an hour and a half, and my dough is ready. So I'm just going to go ahead and deflate, and I'm going to go ahead and form my bread loaves. So you just want to knead it, push it aside just to release those air gas and the bubble in it, so you don't have big pockets of air bubble once the bread is baked. So you just want to deflate nicely, and I'll be making 2 loaves here, but I'll just be showing you how I form one. So I'm just going to go ahead and split my dough in 2 parts, and I'm gonna make a big one and a small one. So I'm just gonna set the smaller piece aside, and I'm gonna form my bigger one. Now you could use a rolling pin for this part, but of course you could just use your hand. I'm just going to go ahead and stretch the dough to the width of the baking dish that I'm using. So you want to stretch it out to the width of the baking pan or the dish that you are using, and then once it's to that size, you want to roll it. Try to roll at least you want to roll it until it's firm. Just roll and tuck, and you want to tuck in the edges for a more uniform looking bread. If you don't tuck the edges, once it starts to bake, it will burst and open up and not look very appealing. So you want to make sure that you spend some time and form your loaf properly, and once you reach the end, you want to seal it properly and make sure that it is fully tucked in. Now my bread loaf is nice and tucked and snugged in. I'm just going to go ahead, place this in my baking dish, and then cover and allow this to rise again for an additional 20 to 25 minutes while my oven is being preheated to 350 degrees. So I'm just going to cover with a piece of plastic wrap. After 25 minutes, this is what my loaf is looking like. So I'm just going to go ahead and brush on some more of the almond milk. You could just bake it just as is, add some melted butter, or add milk if you want. But I'm going plant-based here, so I'll be adding some almond milk to this, and I'll be baking this for about 30 minutes in my preheat oven of 350. After 30 minutes, this is what my bread is looking like, and it is smelling amazing, by the way. I'm just going to go ahead and brush on some butter on top, just to sheen it up and soften it up a bit. I will leave a full written measurement down in the description box, so you could go ahead and follow the recipe if you're interested. You could also leave me a comment if you have any questions, and I'll try my best to get back to you. Now back to this bread. I'm just going to go ahead, allow it to cool down a bit, and then I remove it from the baking dish and allow it to cool down some more. Now I'm gonna go ahead and cut into the bread, and let me tell you guys, this bread was super soft. It might look like I'm struggling here to cut the bread, but I am, because I don't want to squish the bread. I want the knife to give me some nice clean cut, because you want to use a bread knife for this, because if you use a regular knife, you're gonna squish the bread. That's how soft the bread is. And let me tell you, this is your newfound recipe. Homemade bread is like heaven. So we're going to go ahead and add some butter to this. You could serve this up however you like. Normally on a Christmas morning, we would have some bread, fresh bread, and you have it with your chocolate tea, your coffee, whatever you want to have it with. This bread is perfect for that. And also you could make a very delicious sandwich from this bread. It is that easy and tasty. That's it, my beautiful people. I thank you so much for watching. Until then, I'll see you in my next one. Have a good day, and bye-bye.